Reddit. What's your craziest I can explain moment? A friend once popped the trunk of his car, revealing a naked man, and the explanation was relatively reasonable. Here's the full story from the title. First, some background info. I live in Pennsylvania and you're allowed to, and usually have to pump your own gas. In New Jersey, it's illegal to pump your own gas. So, some friends are driving around New Jersey. Said friend is the member of a band and with him is the other 3 members of his band, his girlfriend, and another friend. That's 6 people. The car only has seats for 5. So, on a trip to the gas station, one bankmate figures it'd be fun to ride in the trunk. This guy is a bit crazy in the best way. On the way from the venue to the gas station, while in the trunk, he gets totally naked save for a pink bandana around his neck so he can surprise the shit out of everyone. When they get back, the car arrives at the gas station and, realizing they have to let someone pump their gas, they pull up to a pump and an attendant comes to help them. When he asks my friend to open the door covering the gas valve thingy, with him being used to manually opening it himself as opposed to using the automatic button inside the car, he fumbles around for the button and pops the trunk. There lays a naked man, who looks a bit like a beardless Jesus, wearing nothing but a pink bandana. The best part is my friend didn't even realize it was the wrong button, so the attendant just stands there awkwardly as the guy in the trunk tries to shut the trunk, while everyone in the car sits looking bored with straight faces. So, what do you peoples got? I used to have to unload stuff from my work truck into my garage. It wasn't uncommon for me to forget to shut the tailgate on the covered truck bed. In the summer it wasn't such a bad thing, but in the winter, cats would take shelter in it. On bad nights, I would intentionally leave it open. These were cats other neighbors just let roam the neighborhood, often forgetting about them. I felt bad for them, but didn't want to bring them into my house because I didn't want fleas disease transferred to my animals. I got into the habit of smacking the bed with my hand before shutting the tailgate and driving to work. When I smacked the bed, the cats would usually jet out the back of the truck. I would do a quick look in and then shut the tailgate. One wintry, blistery day I woke up late, so I ran out the door, slammed the tailgate without thinking about or doing the obligatory bed smack look. On the way to the job, I stopped to get gas at a station really close to my house and remembered I needed gas for my snowblower. I usually had a gas can in the bed. I stopped at the gas station, which was a typically busy in the morning gas station, and started filling the truck. I went back to the tailgate to open it to get the gas can out. I dropped the tailgate and about 6 terrified cats came racing out of the bed. One actually ran up and over me, leaping from my shoulder. They did this big loopity-loop, panic run in the gas station, and then headed off into the neighborhood. They all made it out safe, and we were only a few blocks from my house. But for one instant, everyone in the gas station froze to stare at me. People inside were staring out at me. People at the pumps were staring at me. I've never felt so judged in my life. It was like I was trafficking humans. I could feel their eyes penetrating my soul. It was about 10 OF out, and I could feel myself starting to sweat. When I went in to get coffee, the silence finally broke, and a woman asked me what it was all about. I explained it to her, rather loudly so that everyone who witnessed it could hear it. I don't think they believed me. I was shooting a movie with some friends, and one scene was a couple in bed having an argument. They filmed at my home, and we were gonna do a few more takes later, and the team decided to leave the equipment at my house. I go on a date with a girl and everything is well and good, and she gets brought back to my place. Things get serious, and we head to the bedroom, where she is greeted with camera equipment aimed at the bed. She is creeped out and I explained she wasn't that understanding. I was in my early 20s, and we were spending a couple of weeks at a friend's beach house in an upscale East Coast resort town. One late night, we decided it would be a great idea to crash the local community swimming pool for a skinny dip. So 7 guys and gals pile into one sedan to head off for the challenge. I'm the only non-drinker, so I'm the naturally designated driver. We arrive at the pool, shimmy through an opening in the fence, chuck off all of our clothes and jump in. Hilarity ensues, until, wait, Someone has notified the cops of our presence. As we see the cop car searchlight scanning for us, we freak. Time to make a fast escape and pile back into the ride undetected. But not enough time to get dressed. So we are now a car full of 7 people, 6 of them drunk, covered in nothing but towels. And we drive away, confident in our success. However, in all the excitement, I managed to make an illegal left turn as part of our getaway. And, you guessed it, cop car lights up and pulls me over. The officer gets out and approaches the car full of mostly naked 20-somethings. He takes a look and says to me, with a straight face and without missing a beat, "I don't reckon you'd have a driver's license under there, would you?" Where even to begin? I had just put air ride on my truck and was taking it on its maiden voyage. I forgot to tuck a brake line and had been unknowingly dragging through it. All of a sudden it decides to let loose right as I'm stopping at a stop sign. I'm halfway through the intersection with no brakes when I see a cop sitting waiting to bust people for blowing through. He pulls me over and I try to explain. He clearly doesn't believe me, so he asks me to press my brake pedal. Boom. Brake fluid squirted right onto his shoe. No ticket. Me and my roommates came home late one night from a night of drinking. It's about 2 AM. And there is a knock on our back door. I open it up and there is a tall, muscular fellow there wearing only a shirt and tennis shoes, cupping his unmentionables and covered in bloody gashes. He says he can explain, that the cops are after him, and asks to come in. My other roommate comes down and is like, absolutely, come right in. No one comes to someone's door naked in the middle of the night to start trouble. You come because you need help, right? So the guy starts in on this story of how they are at a house party up the street. They are loud and have had a few noise complaints. So the cops are essentially sitting on the corner just waiting to bust them. He thinks it would be a good idea to take his pants off and go streaking by a parked police cruiser. Hint, it was not a good idea. To cops start chasing him. Another goes into the house to start interrogating his friends. Did I mention this was a tall muscular dude? He runs laps around the overweight policeman, then takes off across a field to either outrun them or hide. As I understand, he distances himself by about 75 yards, then runs headlong into a barbed wire fence. The barbs had left huge gashes in his stomach, chest and legs, but he untangles himself and hides in a culvert as the cops roam the neighborhood with flashlights looking for him. Flash forward 2 hours. He sees us come home across from the field where he is hiding and makes his way to our back door and recounts his tale. We give him a beer, a pair of gym shorts, and escort him back to his house party, where he is greeted with raucous laughter, applause, and more than a few disgruntled looks from the people he had left to be interrogated by the police for an hour. The entire party covered for him, claiming that they didn't know him and that he had not left his pants with them, they hid them, and his wallet. It all worked out. Was reading an interview Stephen Colbert did with Playboy on their website. Someone walked past, did a double take, and asked if I was really looking at the Playboy website. Had to explain that, despite all the jokes that have ever been made throughout the history of Playboy, I actually was reading it for the articles. A phrase I never ever anticipated uttering in real life. Once opened my front door to 2 Jehovah's Witnesses, which in turn opened to a bedroom with what looked like 6 naked men in a giant bed together. They ran off down the street before my hungover brain could figure out why they were freaked out. We were just hungover and watching crappy cartoons on my projector. Just straight equally hungover men watching cartoons topless in bed together. 0-0. I got real drunk with my girlfriend and her mate one Saturday night. They convinced me to wear a dress, and then when I passed out in a chair in the living room they covered me in makeup, lipstick, blush, mascara, the works. I looked like a transvestite clown. So I wake up in the chair 9 AM Sunday with a jolt as someone is knocking loudly at the door. Still half drunk, I open the door to 2 Mormons. They look at me shocked, stammer we've got the wrong house, and leave. Took me a few sips to realize what I looked like to them. Mine is not so much a I can explain so much as a I should have explained better. Okay, grade 4, rough time. Playing on the playground with a bunch of friends. Some variant of Tigi. Anyway, I'm it, and am up on the top of the playground, when I see that there is a girl down below me, unaware of my current location. I jump down to go to tag her, but she starts moving as I fall, and I end up landing on her with my knee. Said girl bursts out in tears, and yells, "I can't believe you would kick me," and starts to run away, presumably to tell on me. Now, I'm a sensitive kid, but I'm also afraid of authority, and I determine that I need to go and fix this. So, I run after her, calling out something along the lines of "Are you okay?" As I go. To this, she responds, "No, you kicked me." At this point I decide that I need to clear up some facts. So I yell out, "I need you." This repeats a couple of times, her yelling and me responding with "I need you," until it dawns on me what it sounds like I'm saying, because I see a group of confused looking grade 7ers looking on. Again, to clear up the details, I look at them and yell out, while making a knee-eye motion with my leg, "You know." Bang, bang. Seconds later I realize what all this sounds like, and I die of shame. That was about the most embarrassment a 9-year-old could take. I was out drinking with some friends one night. For brevity's sake, one was a large black man I'll call Hingle McCringleberry. The other was a tall youngster we'll call Shaunders. And I'm an average white dude. All of us early 20s. Classy, upscale, bar lounge we are at. We mingle at the bar and continue to get shot down by women, seeing as how we know absolutely no one at that bar and we are the A-team of people women at that bar would never want to be seen with. After every failed attempt at getting a number we take a shot of whiskey. I black out first. Hingle and Shaunders a little bit later. As we are walking back from the bar to Hingle's car, he and I start goofing around, play fighting, and roughhousing as drunk young males are known for doing. We reach the vehicle and Hingle decides it would be funny to pretend he was going to throw me in the trunk of his car and I would have to sleep there. Hingle opens the trunk, and with the help of Shaunders' attempt to throw me in the trunk. In my struggle to not be thrown in, I gash my head on the corner of the trunk. Hingle doesn't feel well due to the alcohol and goes over to the bushes to puke as Shaunders decides this is a good time to go buy cigarettes. I'm still in the back of the trunk, but it's open because these guys really aren't that huge of dick, and you know, we were drunk. I get up out of the trunk, slide down the bumper and lean against the back of the car, with Shaunders gone buying cigs and Hingle about 100 yards away puking his guts out. A heroic citizen who from afar had seen a large black man and a gangster looking white boy attempt to throw an upstanding white male by force into the trunk of their car, leaps into action and finds me sitting on the street with blood streaming down my face and on my clothes, and calls the cops and an ambulance. Nice guy really, or I suppose he was, because I was passed out. The police and fire show up and take the eyewitness report from the citizen who saw everything from afar, and I get whisked away to the emergency room, while what appears to be clinging to dear life. The cops find Hingle passed out 100 or so yards away and arrest him, not knowing what had occurred in the last 20 minutes due to the alcohol-induced mind meld. Hingle wakes up to 3 police officers arresting him and telling him if I didn't make it to the hospital, that they would be charging him with murder. Shaunders, jaunting back from buying cigarettes, walks by the scene and asks what happened to an onlooker. Attempted murder he hears and sees Hingle getting arrested. How he made the conclusion that it was me that was murked by Hingle is unclear, but Shaunders takes this opportunity to call my ex-girlfriend and give her the bad news that I got murdered. Ex-girlfriend calls my parents, calls her closest girlfriends, and begins the eulogy on my Facebook page of my untimely demise. I wake up 30 minutes later in an emergency room on a gurney with an attractive nurse over me telling me that I had suffered massive head trauma in an attempted murder, and that I was going to the CT scan to check my brain. I still can't really talk at this point. I think just due to a combination of alcohol and shock. But I know one thing for sure. I do not want a CT scan, because I'm afraid of the radiation. So I struggle to get up, and apparently medical professionals have zero qualms with strapping down a potential murder victim. While in court, the adrenaline from the rude awakening and the strap downing has begun to clear my mind, and I realize I was never a victim of an attempted murder. I vaguely remember wrestling with Hingle in the street on our way to the car and getting out of the trunk and seeing blood everywhere. The results came in from the court and the doctors confirmed my suspicion that I wasn't in mortal danger and that I had a small gash on my head that would need 3 stitches and no brain trauma. Hingle, due to his drunken stupor, was also transported to the emergency room to have his stomach pumped, was not yet incarcerated. Shaunders shows up to the hospital with parents in tow. I'm significantly more present now as my back has dropped to the high point ones, and I tell them it's not what it looks like. Shaunders in his statement to the police mentioned that we had been wrestling on a way home, and so enough evidence was present to let Hingle walk. Once our back had dropped to legal levels, we were free to walk back to Hingle's car. When we arrived, we took a look at the crime scene, and sure enough, on the corner of his trunk was a little bit of blood and a small chunk of skin and hair. To this day, when I see people I haven't seen for many years, also due to my lack of Facebook participation, are surprised to see that I'm not dead. Note, we never had plans to drink and drive, we were just going to crash in Hingle's car if we didn't get laid. We did things like that. Too long didn't read the police. My parents and everyone else I knew believed I was murdered by a large black man and a wankster. Thanks for watching. Comment your favorite story and consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.